Hello, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of Squared Triangle. We're going to be talking about AEW Dynasty today. Something unique that hasn't actually happened with this pay-per-view compared to others, even including WrestleMania, is that we all watched it together.
Yeah, we watched this one together, and this is about a week after we watched it, so we saw the immediate fallout also during this week, which we'll probably go through to add some context to things as it needs it. But yeah, this was the first one we sat in our personal Discord, and we just kind of shared screen and watched this whole thing together. It was a fun little time.
Yeah, I had a blast doing that.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we can all agree that this was a very strong pay-per-view, with the exception of one match, which I think going into it we all knew we fucking hate, and I hate it more because of the result. So,
you know that meme of like the horse drawing where it's like mostly
it's like all the great horse, then like the badly drawn pencil part, and then it goes back to being good. Yeah, that's the Jericho segment.
That is exactly this. That's exactly this pay-per-view.
So let's start with this. We did watch the pre-show. We did get here, watch the pre-show. We actually did watch it, and it wasn't bad. You had three matches. You had Trent versus Matt Sydal. You had Orange Cassidy and Shibata versus Shane Taylor Promotions. And then you had the belt unification. Once again, the trios belts showing that they're a pre-show title that more than anything. Again, with the seemingly endless feud of Acclaimed and the Bang Bang Gang, or Bullet Club Gold. Just because Juice Robinson's not here, we're just going to keep calling it Bullet Club.
Juice, anyway. Is he hurt?
I think he had a back injury. Yeah, he had a back injury.
Oh.
It's funny though, because with Tony's promo, I'm happy to learn that Juice is considered a demon in her life. So that whole promo,
correct.
Yeah, so I was like, good job, Juice. But yeah, we started off with Trent and Matt Sydal. Very quick start to this. It's just a basic TV match, and it sets up something that would go into Dynamite, which is Trent giving Chuck Taylor an ultimatum to see whose side he's on, and they advertised it great this week with the choose like whose best friend are you graphic and everything.
Which proceeding.
It's just, these are like the dumb things of wrestling that I enjoy. It's just like these dumb segments in the middle of all the actual like athletic shit or the storytelling. It's just these like dumb mini that I really love. Especially when it's shit like that.
Just Orange Cassidy in the
custody
divorce.
of Chuck Taylor. It's the Chuck Taylor on a pole match.
I'd watch that.
Apparently they did pre-record the parking lot brawl for Chuck Taylor and Trent, so I'm excited to see that because they were involved as a tag team in one of those matches when Sue pulled up that last time, which was really funny, and I'm just wondering if they're going to call back to some shit like that. But this was basically a TV match to set up Trent's actions going into this week and probably for the foreseeable, next few weeks of his feud with Orange Cassidy and stuff like that. Then we get Orange Cassidy and Shibata versus Shane Taylor right after it. Trent kind of hesitates and then leaves when Orange Cassidy is coming out. I thought that was cool. That felt very like old school AEW, like
organic interaction.
Organic interactions, like the end of the match doesn't wait until the next, or the start of the next match doesn't wait until everybody's gone. It's just like, oh, next match time. If you're still lollygagging, there's interactions.
Yeah, it's just kind of how they did it on Dark a lot.
Yeah. Another TV match, I feel like, this Orange Cassidy Shibata versus Shane Taylor. Shane Taylor and Lee Moriarty are doing their job as being heels in this, especially now with Anthony Ogogo and stuff like that. They are a good heel faction to kind of build into feuds, or at least kind of like break up longer feuds, I would say. And this match was fun. Orange Cassidy does a bunch of his usual like hijinks during this, and then you get the Shane Taylor and Shibata like trades and stuff like that. Shibata continually doing what the internet wrestling community hates, and that's just hitting each other and letting people hit each other. I'm like, just keep doing it, Shibata.
Fan of Shibata, but I'm also a big fan of Lee Moriarty.
Lee Moriarty, we were talking about that during the Discord call too. Lee Moriarty is a young talent that I'm happy is getting more TV time. I think we said it during the Discord call. He'll never be probably in like the main title scene, but he'll be a good person during a title reign, like into a kind of person. He's the AJ Styles.
He will give the champion he will give the champion a really good match.
Yeah, he's the AJ Styles. He's what AJ Styles is to WWE. AJ Styles is always the first challenger to a new title reign. It feels like. Again, just a very simple, almost TV quality match, but it did its job. I think that interaction at the start was really the main focus of putting this in this spot. Then we get the trios unification match, which I don't think they brought up on Wednesday at all. Like,
nope.
You unify the titles and then just nobody shows up on Wednesday.
Yep.
It's the little things like that I just feel like these titles might just be losing all relevance at this point.
If they have any relevance left as it is.
Because I think
it might be good to probably retire these at this point. I understand why you want them, but like if you're going to be like, here's a big unification and then not follow up with it on your flagship show, is just kind of a weird decision to make out of it.
Kinda suspect.
I mean, because the thing is with the trios title is like they remind me of early AEW. You know, they had a little bit more purpose back then as opposed to now. Because now we go all these championships that they have floating around. It's like something's got to go on the back burner, and apparently
I think
the trios titles are the ones that are going on the back burner.
I think we're talking about too. It's like I think now we've hit the point of saturation. It's like maybe cutting the trios titles for both companies would be a better, decision and stuff like that, and just let the Freebird rule be your tag team champions at that point. Like you can still have Bullet Club Gold as tag team champs, and then you can have whatever combination defend them.
Yeah, because in all honesty, I think that would work out so much better, and it probably would give a little bit of a spice to the AEW tag titles as well. So as well as the Ring of Honor tag titles.
Because I think who are the current tag champions in AEW?
Young Bucks.
It's Young Bucks.
Think about it for a sec though.
Yeah, who the current tag champs in Ring of Honor?
Fucking no.
I
don't watch Ring of Honor.
I'll look it up just to be sure. The thing, I think it's just because you have to pay a subscription to watch Ring of Honor. I think it kind of suffers a bit.
But we did just kind of spoil that though. So,
we'll get to that because Young Bucks win the titles back. But there is a thing that happens in that match.
Special little caveat.
This is a special little tool that will come back later. The tag championships, Undisputed Kingdom, which just shows their kind of relevance right now too, all things considered.
Yeah, because ever since the whole MJF thing, Undisputed Kingdom has fallen kind of flat to me.
Well, it doesn't help that Adam Cole's not on TV as much, also until this point. But then again, we'll get to it in card. He's back, but you don't put him on Dynamite. Like I don't know what the plan was this week. I think it kind of got overshadowed by Moxley's IGPW title.
Mm-hmm.
I think that kind of took time on the show. That ultimately ended up with Hobbs getting legitimately hurt, which is unfortunate. He was on a hot streak.
Yeah, speedy recovery to Will Hobbs on that powerhouse Hobbs.
He is now out with a knee injury, unfortunately.
Oh, buddy.
There are a lot of those floating around the wrestling.
I feel bad for Hobbs because it's always stop because of shit, either with who he's put with. Like, they can't keep him solo act for some reason. He always has to be put with somebody. And then when he's starting to shine as a single thing, something happens. It's just so unfortunate.
Or something else happens. It's the same as Wardlow, man. I mean, he gets stuck in these kind of cycles in AEW as well. And I kind of wish they would just go ahead and start doing something with him. Like, for real, doing something with him.
Just take Jericho away. Like, he has go away heat. And we'll get to that, too.
We'll get to that later.
But yeah, this... I don't think anything really stood out in this trios match to me. For the most part. It was a lot of Billy Gunn beating his kids up, which was kind of funny.
Well, I think there was one moment where like Billy Gunn hugs one of his kids and then punches him immediately, which is kind of funny.
But it does end with Jay White getting the pin on Billy Gunn to get the tag titles off of Acclaimed. And I think when we mentioned it during the Discord, also when we were watching it, I kind of just want to see a Bowen solo run at this point. Well, I don't think he'll work as a heel, but I think if you have Caster turn on him, it would just help Bowens a little more. I think Bowens is a fan favorite, and he's just not getting enough, screen time.
Yeah,
I'm terrified of that notion because that means when Max Caster comes out, he's going to say something out of pocket. It's probably going to be really homophobic.
Yeah, it probably would be. Because Max Caster had a rap in this too, and it was kind of awful. So
yeah,
when he stopped and started freestyling, I think you could hear him hesitate to try to say something. I'm like, this man's thinking about it on the spot. He does not have this ready to go. This is not good. Just think about it beforehand, buddy. But yeah, now we have a Bang Bang Gang, Bullet Club Gold as unified trios champions, and I'm wondering where we go from here with those two sets of belts. I'm wondering if they just get one set of belt and it just floats between both companies at this point.
that'd probably be the smart thing to do with those titles, at least.
Yeah. But overall, not a bad pre-show. Serviceable match quality, as we always get with most AEW matches. But then the main card hits, and boy, does it kick you in the dick the moment it starts. It's like, hey man, welcome to the pay-per-view. Sit your ass down, watch some wrestling.
Yeah, we're going to put you
Okada versus Pac.
We start with
put you in front of the furnace to start this show.
We start with Pac versus Okada for the Continental Crown or the Continental Championship. Is this just Continental Championship?
It's just a Continental Championship.
Okay. Crown is all three. That's what I was forgetting. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This is just an instant fucking classic. I think going into this, this until the Ospreay match, I think this was my favorite match on the card.
They beat the shit out of each other for
so same
minutes.
here.
You want to make somebody look strong? Bring in fucking Pac.
Yeah, this match had 3 matches of the year contenders on one show. This was insane how this started.
Once again proven, Pac deserves the pay that he's getting in this company. This man is hey, you're not going to fire me. I'm not going to leave. I'm going to keep doing this. So,
I mean, and it's often that we always talk about John Moxley being the workhorse of this company, but Pac just kind of proves that he's also, a solid workhorse in this company. Yes. Even when he comes back from injury, he just still goes at 150%. And that's appreciated.
It's much quieter about his contributions than Moxley is.
And the crowd let him know they care about this guy here. Even after the match, it's just he's our bastard. If he wasn't a face by this point, Pac's, a lovable heel, probably. If anything. But yeah, this match went fucking 20 minutes and God, it was so good. It was so good. There are so many spots where we're I don't think Pac's neck should bend like that. But
that one DDP spot on the outside, I thought he legitimately hurt himself. But it's Pac is just that good at selling too.
Yeah. It was so good. And I'd recommend anybody just look up this match if you're not going to watch the whole card. I would say watch the whole card and then fast forward 16 minutes later in the night. But this whole card is just in every match had a story going into it. It had its own pace, it had its own ring storytelling. A lot of the Pac Okada stuff was hey, I'm going to focus Pac's neck for the Rainmaker. That's what he did for most of the match. And when he hit that Rainmaker, that was it. So talk about a protected finisher.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. Like I said, after seeing this, I was it's going to be hard to make anything else my match of the night unless, Ospreay and Danielson completely botch their match. This is it for me. So I loved this match. Definitely one of my match of the year candidates.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all agreed during that Discord call, this was fucking great. I had no notes for it. I just even put here just instant classic, no words. It's like,
No notes, no nothing. Yeah.
just 20 minutes of very hard hitting, like almost old school feeling wrestling at times. This
It
felt
almost
very like WCW at times too. Like,
no, it also reminds me that Pac can really work that Japanese style so well. Too,
oh,
'cause,
absolutely.
Yeah, he
Yep.
spent so much time in Dragon Gate, and you can just tell in this match.
This felt like a
Oh,
Dragon
yeah.
Gate match.
Yeah,
Like it really did.
They brought it up. Like Pac was in Dragon. I started following Pac around the time he was in. He was
like
Dragon
their
Gate.
top guy too, wasn't he?
yeah,
like-
he was like their champion. He was one of the
Yeah.
champions at one point.
I'm not gonna say I'm day one Pac stan or whatever, but I've seen him around back in
Yeah.
the day, back when he still tape traded or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a fantastic fucking match. Then I feel like AEW knows that they're like, okay, we can't go like super hot after that, so let's give them a cooldown match that's still good. I feel like this might have been put anywhere else on the card, but I think they wanted to carry the momentum, kind of going into this. We get the House of Black versus Adam Copeland, Eddie Kingston, and Mark Briscoe. Just a standard trios match, no titles or anything involved, even though there is a team of 3 champions on Adam Copeland's side. And again, 17 minutes, perfectly timed match for what they did. Big spots here and there. You had like the suplexes, the power bombs out of the corner, and then the superplex. You had like the double spear spot at one point.
The really bad chops.
The Kingston chops. And then interestingly enough, you have Malachi Black pinning Adam Copeland after hitting him with the mist, which I think is setting up the feud for Malachi Black's TNT title run if they're getting to that. So glad to see him in another title pursuit after so long outside of the trios match and all that. What'd you guys think about this match?
Fan. I thought it was a good match. It's the Eddie Kingston thing where like someone has to tell him, wrestling's not real.
Yeah.
So, but my thing about that is that doesn't really mesh. That gimmick of like the lines being blurred with where Eddie Kingston is, where he like talks from the heart, he shoots from the hip all the time, doesn't really mesh super well with the supernatural fuckers in the House of Black.
Oh yeah, AEW is a nice little. AEW is like, it's like a comic book. You have like the street level guys, and then you have like all the super powered like guys, and then you have like the straight up like martial artists at times, and it's like this feels like a Marvel universe, like a variety of heroes.
Yeah, it feels like
Golden
the
Age
boys, man.
DC.
Yeah,
the boys versus Vault International, but like a really dark version of it.
Yeah.
Overall, I think this match was fine, and I think it served its purpose. I think they're going towards the Malachi Black, Adam Copeland feud, and they pretty much set that up during this match. This is pretty much a more story-driven match because they've had stuff going on for months. And
yeah, this is a continuation of a very long feud mixing House of Black with all of these guys. Kingston was a while back, but then you had Mark Briscoe recently feuding with him too. So this was kind of like the big meshing of those stories.
So they're kind of pushing this all towards the single point with Adam Copeland and Malachi Black for the TNT Championship. So that probably would be a double enough on some other pay-per-view this year.
Yeah. I do appreciate most of this match, at least on the face side. Mark Briscoe was in this ring a lot out of the face side. He was really given a chance to shine, which I'm happy about. Mark Briscoe, I think, is always going to be that guy that the fans love, just given the story, of getting him into the company and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they would have done it sooner when we could have had tag matches, but Warner Brothers and the history of Jay Briscoe's like tweets and everything, they just didn't want to bring it in, and it unfortunately took a death for Mark Briscoe to be in the company. So glad that he's actually being showcased instead of just being used as like an item for AEW. It's like, hey, look, we have this sad story here, but no, it's actually they're showcasing him and letting him be a wrestler on their roster, which I'm very happy about. But yeah, he got a lot to shine, and then like I said, Copeland taking the pin was a really interesting choice, but it was a really good finish also with the mist and then the end. hitting. Continuing House of Black, we have somebody. We have Julia Hart, who hasn't really been focused with House of Black lately. She's kind of just been more with Brody King, all things considered. We don't really see her a lot like in presentation with the rest of House of Black, but they're always in promos and vignettes together and stuff like that still.
She's always doing she's doing stuff for like the TBS stuff.
Yeah.
And so they need I actually like that. I like that they're splitting her off and saying, okay, little birdie, time to fly.
Yeah. Interesting thing about this match too, at no point was there a Sky Blue involvement.
So
they were also banned, I believe. House rules.
This is a house rules match.
They were banned from ringside. I believe Chris Statlander was also sent back by Willow.
Statlander and Sky were both banned from ringside.
Unfortunately, I think with what happens later tonight, or at least maybe with the Okada Pac match, I think this probably got cut for time. I think this was the match that probably had time cut from it. This was a 6-minute match, unfortunately. But in a sense, it does make sense due to Willow's strength advantage over Julia without any kind of interference.
Right.
I do feel like the Pac Okada match might have gone probably 5 minutes too long, but they were just like, no, let them cook. Like, as the match was going on, they're like, no, just keep going. Keep going.
And if you ask me personally, I think this was the wrong match to cut time from, but we'll get into that
absolutely.
later.
Yeah, something else could have had 6 minutes cut from it.
Yeah.
So,
but
Willow beats Julia Hart, which then sets up a vignette later in the week of Brody King coming to Julia Hart saying that it's time to rebuild. So they're probably going to see a change in her character again, which is going to be interesting. If she can be the kind of wrestler, to keep evolving her character, I think she's going to go far.
Oh yeah, she'll probably make it to the world title picture sooner or later.
But yeah, we have Willow Nightingale, and that celebration is cut short by Mercedes. And I'm wondering what this presentation is, because Mercedes is going for the middle title, or is she just going after Willow for their history?
Mercedes is specifically going after Willow. She's not going... The title is a bonus. She's going after Willow because of the history that they have.
Yeah.
Because of the NJPW match.
Yes. Yeah. She's going to be like, hey, bitch, I did you a big one. So guess who's winning this title from you? It's like...
I actually don't think Monet goes over. I hope not. I would actually be disappointed if Monet went over.
I want to see Twitter that day. Like, Mercedes comes in, it's her first match, loses.
Crushed.
Like, I would want to see Twitter. I'd want to see the grifter takes. I'd want to see the fan takes. I'd want to see that chaos unfold.
I'll give you a spoiler alert. It's going to be nasty on Twitter that day, because they're going to probably be telling how much Monet's a failure, and that she's kind of...
Let's be honest. If she wins, people are going to bitch about it. If she loses, people who don't even care are going to bitch about it. Like, it's...
So I really feel like this was a lose-lose situation for Mercedes, and this is not how I would want to have introduced her in AEW. But I guess they wanted to get the whole Willow Nightingale Mercedes Monet match out of the way. So,
I've been thinking about it, and I think if you want to do the stat heel turn, is you do the Uso spot where she throws in the towel in the match, where Stat comes up and throws in the towel for Willow, and it's like, end this match. Like, no, she can't fight it, and then Willow can be like, why did you do that in my match? Because then you set it up that Monet didn't beat her clean, and then it's like it turns into a Willow Stat thing, and then Mercedes can just go do whatever she fucking wants to do. But I think you have to pull the trigger in that match on Chris in some way to make it a not win, and to not hurt either of them. I think it just adds a little more spice to it too if it's like something happens. I don't think it can be a clean pinfall either way. I think that would hurt either of them.
Honestly, that would that would most likely be the best case scenario if that were to just actually cost her the title.
Yeah,
At
so
Double or
either by
Nothing.
accident or purpose,
or something, because that would kind of be a justified reason.
I think in terms of one of your biggest signings, you just can't have Mercedes lose clean.
Yeah, you can't have her lose on her first match.
A new champion, next month at Double or Nothing? Like, you can't give your new champion a 1 month title reign to lose clean. I feel like that's a little disrespectful too.
Yeah. So Willow. So I'm looking at
TK and I'm like, I'm faithful, man. Like, I trust a lot of these companies nowadays. Everybody's getting a little bit better with this shit, but boy, man, you have written yourself into a tricky situation with this one.
We've had about 25 years of dusty finishes like left and right throughout Pro Wrestling. I mean,
we're doing another one.
Just one more. Yeah. Just one more.
Just one more, right?
I don't think. I think it's a DQ finish. I don't think either one.
I think it's either a DQ finish where she retains, or it's a unclean finish where Mercedes wins. I don't think it's going to be a clean pinfall either way.
I think Mercedes wins by DQ.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah.
I'd
love it if this turned into like an angle where like Willow's like, oh yeah, I did intentionally injure you at New Japan. I'm gonna do it again.
Just smiling, happy heel Willow.
Yeah.
No, they can't be heels. I took a picture at Chuck E. Cheese. Have you seen that picture?
I have seen that picture. Yeah. It was great.
But then moving on from the criminally undertimed women's match, I feel we get probably the most PWG match on the card tonight. We get Roderick Strong versus Kyle O'Reilly, the culmination of the last few weeks of storytelling, where Roderick Strong turns on Kyle O'Reilly because Kyle O'Reilly is being friendly to the people who have been trying to take Roderick's belt. Also has turned away, membership into the Undisputed Kingdom. And yeah, dude, 17 minutes just beating the shit out of each other. Put the shit in my veins. Like,
the only thing that would make this more PWG is if Excalibur said a slur on the broadcast.
Right?
If you know, you know.
Yeah. This was different from the Pac Okada match, I would say, where this wasn't almost like a spectacle of a wrestling match. This was just a very focused on strikes, technical wrestling. Like, this was actually like a very good in-ring display of just raw skills of professional wrestling.
More leaning in more into like the MMA aspect of how wrestling hits.
Yeah, and they incorporated that a lot into this match, especially Kyle O'Reilly with his.
Kyle O'Reilly always does that.
He is a submission. He is a submission artist, man. Like, he can just transition those things like nobody's business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this was just it was striking, trading, a lot of technical wrestling spots. Ton of backbreakers, just as Roderick Strong is known for. But then the ending of the match is where things get a little interesting. Wardlow comes out, probably to try to interfere. Gets stopped by the referee. KO goes to lift Roderick Strong, but he can't because he's taken 8 backbreakers during this match at this point.
Yeah.
And then Roderick is able to hit the end of Heartache and retains the title. And then Undisputed Kingdom comes out, pushing out Adam Cole, and it's a miracle he can walk. Adam Cole seems to be back, healed from his ankle injury.
So, as somebody who has rehabbed parts of their body, the ability to walk does not mean you are.
Okay. Well, he's out of the wheelchair. He can at least be anymore. He can at least be a presence again, which I am happy about.
So and the thing is, I think he's probably. It seems to me like he's probably maybe a good couple months away from returning.
If he can serve a manager role, which ironically is so funny considering all the stories out of WWE with what they wanted to do for him,
especially Keith Lee. Yeah,
he also fucking mean mugged Wardlow behind his back. So I think
I loved that storytelling of mean mugging Wardlow behind his back.
It's just this man is going to win the title and then not give it to me because this man has had this happen to him so many times. He's not stupid, and I know he's not stupid. So it's turning into.
I thought that was some beautiful storytelling.
Because that was the thing. It's Wardlow's going to win the title and then give it to me, and Wardlow's like, It's like you could see it in that first promo, and it's like, this is where this is gonna go. Like, just what was like,
the other
no,
thing about it
mine.
is that Adam Cole didn't just do that once; he did it like 3 times.
Yes, and he knows that he probably knows he can't trust Wardlow.
Yeah,
like, so it's going to be a very interesting next few months of Undisputed Kingdom. If they can get out of the slump that they're in, they really needed Adam Cole's presence. If they weren't going to pursue all the MJF stuff, you needed Adam Cole there to give this faction some life. And the reasoning, like, you know, all like just focusing on like the why, you know,
right.
Adam Cole exploding his ankle kind of put this thing in, you know, lukewarm water right now, and they need to get hot again. I mean, we all knew it was going to be Adam Cole, but it's just like the fact that both guys got injured at the peak of that story about to hit the next arc is just kind of like the worst luck.
That was unfortunate.
Yeah. I really liked this
then,
Roderick Strong match. This
I
match this match was really good. I think if I were to recommend like a good technical wrestling match, I'd recommend this one.
And this was the second of 3 incredible matches on this card. Like, I thought Roderick Strong versus Kyle O'Reilly was fantastic. You know, these two, they've worked with each other for years. They know each other.
Yeah.
They're 2 in-ring veterans. And I love the striking aspect of this match because they were like hitting combos on each other left and right.
Yeah.
And they just made it look as beautiful as possible. So hats off to both of these guys. They put on an incredible match for the International Championship.
I think we brought that up in the Discord too. I like wrestlers that have like a little combo that they do.
Yeah,
like AJ Styles does one. I think Kyle O'Reilly does one.
Now this match got a little Mortal Kombat-esque, but you know, I mean, it's these guys. They did this in PWG a lot, so I mean, if you're not quite used to it, I understand if you'd be a little upset about it, but I thought it was fine.
Yeah. And then the pay-per-view takes a nosedive.
It takes
falls off a cliff right here.
Dive.
You got the quality's
we have
building.
16 minutes of this.
And that's the thing. I think this match went fucking 6 minutes too long.
This match went about 8 minutes too long.
This match went 16 minutes too long.
With how dominant they've made Hook look over the last year, the fact that this match happened the way that it did is criminal.
It kind of, I did not care for this, honestly.
Granted, Hook has said in interviews he is young. He's in his like 20s right now. He is not beholden to anybody. He does want to explore options. So more than likely, if his contract runs out with his dad's Taz, he may go to NXT. I can see him definitely getting some mic work and, you know, character work improvements there.
Right.
But the guy has the in-ring, like, technical wrestling, like, down. I just think he needs some character work.
I think if he goes to NXT, they'll refine him a little bit.
Hook is one of the people that I would love to see go to NXT.
Yeah.
There are certain people, I've said this before, there are certain people who work better in the more controlled WWE style, and there are some people who work better in the more free-form AEW style. Jon Moxley is a good example of someone who works much better in the AEW style of like the free-form, I kind of bit off the dome, kind of work the match in the ring, that sort of thing. I think Mercedes Moné is somebody who actually works better in a WWE style of like, these are the ideas we want you to have for your promo. This is what we want you to say. And this is how we want the match to go.
I think Hook would fit into the WWE style because if I had to guess, that's how he was trained by Taz. Like Taz has a history of the actual televised promotions and stuff like that and not working a lot of indies. So you would think that some of that might have just been naturally ingrained in how he trained Hook and stuff like that too. But yeah, I would love to see Hook in NXT, admittedly. Like I think he would really benefit from that place. And
I didn't want to see Hook in this match because it just seems to me like Jericho is he's at the tail end of his career. Like he was gassed within like the first 5 minutes in this match, and it just got worse from there.
I feel bad for Hook because this is a wrestler that, because of the accusations that came out and we talked about it months ago, this is somebody who has go away heat. And it's not helping anybody in this company right now. Especially with as dominantly as he has been like displayed on fucking TV.
And on top of that, I read a tweet somewhere that somebody said that everybody that Jericho's worked with within the last 2 years has been worse off. Yes. And I got to thinking about that, and I'm like, there was like 10 different people, Santana, Ortiz. Jake Hager, Matt Menard, Angelo Parker. Even though they've starting to
they found their stuff in Garcia's story and Ruby Soho's story.
You go over a list of, but there's like a long list of those guys, and I'm like, has anyone done anything after they've been in factions with Jericho other than Sammy Guevara, who's currently suspended right now?
MJF, I guess.
Yeah. Well, MJF always had the natural charisma to escape any limitation he had.
Right.
It's just, Jericho was gassed. The crowd was not feeling it. There were chants of like, "Go home, please retire." It
was
and it's just
I don't say this. I say this as somebody who survived like 2006, 2007 WWE, where it was like a shit show.
Mm-hmm.
This was a bad match. This was like a bad match.
Yeah, Hook is not a ring general, and I don't think Jericho had a fucking plan to lay out this match. Fortunately, he wins the fucking title, which means we're probably going to see him more.
So on Dynamite, he changed FTW because FTW is supposed. For those of you who don't know, FTW is an old title from ECW. Mm-hmm. It's a Taz title. It means "fuck the world."
Yeah.
It will always mean "fuck the world." But Jericho, being the jackass he is, he's like, "Oh, this is for the world because I am the learning tree and I'm for the world."
And now he has his 547th nickname. He's calling himself the Learning Tree now, Chris Jericho.
He's got that Def Rebel ass theme now. The Learning Tree starts the theme.
Oh
God. It's just
it just fucking sucks.
I think if I'm Tony Khan and I'm looking at numbers and I'm looking at viewership on episodes where Jericho's involved, I would just be like, we're not going to renew your contract. Like, I think he would probably gain praise letting this guy fucking go at this point.
I don't think the thing is, taking my smart hat off and putting it over here for a sec, I understand that Chris Jericho is a household name and all that shit. It's just so hard to watch a match like this.
He has not taken a break. He has not taken a break since the company started.
I can't tell you a good thing about this match. There wasn't one. There was a table spot. The table fell off into the second turnbuckle.
There was a good spot, and it was when Hook, I think, almost accidentally killed Jericho by slamming his head into the steps during that suplex.
Okay.
Yeah, that was that part.
About 3 inches to the left, and his head would have gone down on the corner of those steps.
Yeah, Jericho would have had a broken neck. So, I mean, if that
would have happened, thank you, Hook. Thank you.
Good Lord's work.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Hook at this point, I'm like, you know what? It's one bad match. I can probably recover from it. But I think at this point, maybe Hook and Taz are like, why did we fucking do this for Jericho? And I wouldn't be surprised if Taz is like, you know what? I wouldn't be mad if you went to NXT for a little while. You still work AEW, he'd be like, I won't be around you as much, but you'd get some good teaching.
Again, Hook going to NXT will probably be best for him right now because he can just refine everything that he already is right now. His promos will get better, his wrestling will get a lot tighter. I mean, he become, one of the best on the roster.
Oh, we got some connection issue there for X.
Huh?
Got some connection issue for you real quick.
There you go.
You're being very robotic there for a second.
my internet's a little spotty.
That's fair.
The smartest thing that they did was write off Hook for now.
Yes.
The baseball bat to the head did look brutal.
And I'm wondering if he just asked for time off.
It's possible.
I think he's been a consistent factor there since debuting too. So it's like, hey man, I just want a fucking vacation.
Yeah.
I can see him coming back with a vengeance though. At the end of whatever reign this is for Jericho. I mean, who even wants to chase this fucking title from him? Like, that's the thing. Like, this title is an accessory. It's not a title.
Not real.
Yeah. So I don't think somebody like, okay, this roster's so fucking deep. I don't think somebody like, AR Fox is going to be like, yeah, I want the FTW title. I don't think Dante Martin is going to be like, hey, give me that title, Jericho.
The damn thing isn't even classified as an official championship in AEW right now.
So it's just going to be Jericho. It's going to be Jericho getting more and more people sucked into the Jericho vortex, which he also trademarked. And just probably being, he trademarked that too. But I'm just like, you're going to just pull people into this fucking shit show of your at this point. Like, yeah, this match went on way too long. I think this is the match where I did get up to go to the bathroom. Also, just like I don't care about Jericho anymore. Like, I just don't. Get him off TV for a little while. Should have been Hook knocking his head in with a bat. Like,
That's it. Jericho right at this point could benefit from being off TV for a couple months.
Yeah.
I will say, however, the next 4 matches are all gas.
Oh yeah, after this match, the whole card goes back. The crowd comes back alive. It's fantastic. And let's get into that. It's women's championship time. Toni Storm versus Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa's back in the title scene. You love to see it. And
I'd love to see it.
Yeah, the crowd, like, coming into this match, the crowd just like instantly fired back from that downer of a Jericho match. I love this fucking crowd. Pay-per-view. This does play out like a very just well-structured women's title match. There's no real like high spot in it. There's no real shenanigans until the end. There is a really funny moment of Thunder Rosa yelling at somebody in the crowd, "I love Tony too, baby," and then hitting the like drop on the apron.
Driver on.
That was really good. I miss Thunder Rosa. She plays the crowd really well.
Yeah. Mariah May did try to come out to intervene. She was intercepted by Deonna Purrazzo.
Deonna Purrazzo, who
and it takes her
Thunder
out of the
Rosa
match.
said not to interfere.
But she saved her from Mariah May. But then it did turn into a face-to-face altercation between Thunder Rosa and Deonna. So that's the next feud for those two, I believe.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but did Toni Storm kick Thunder Rosa in the vag? And
she did. She hit. Okay, so that was after this. Thunder Rosa kicks out of Storm Zero. And then Toni Storm tries to crawl out and she pulls the apron up into the ring. The ref goes to fix the ring skirt. Toni low blows her and then hits another Storm Zero to take the match. So an unclean win, but a win nonetheless for Toni Storm.
I'm going to preface whatever you're about to say, X, with we all have penises. None of us know what that feels like.
I don't know. No, I'm not. I wasn't going to go there anyway. I was just kind of curious.
I'm making sure.
It's still an impact on the human body. It's gotta feel something. Like,
I mean, I was just curious. I was like, okay, so maybe that does work a little bit. Cool. All right.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
It is
for sure.
Very smooth finish from the ring apron, spot into the finish. Ref had good timing. Our performers had good timing. And I think they're building up to Mariah May, because at the post pay-per-view media scrum, they brought up that Mariah May is now like 4th in the rankings and Toni stormed off, which is kind of funny when you say that.
Toni stormed off. But well done.
Yeah, I didn't think about
that. I liked that she had a prepared statement like she always does with these scrums.
Yes.
And then didn't answer any questions, and then they asked that one and she left.
Yeah. Great character work. Great committing to the bit.
I didn't see that Storm, but I heard Toni Storm was fucking hilarious in it. Like, she was just going off on
she was like, she goes, "Don't worry,
going off in that.
Don't worry, Anthony. No matter how many times no matter how many victories I have and how many stories I finish, I will never call you to the ring to celebrate."
Just, oh god, this whole week of discourse has been so fucking stupid. People are still like, oh, they're living rent-free in AEW's head, but also at the same time, when Tony Khan's selling the neck injury from Wednesday's incident, which we'll get into because that ties into something that happens on this pay-per-view, all Pat McAfee can talk about is joking him. So apparently AEW lives rent-free in Pat McAfee's head. So it's just like,
yeah,
it's just this. I'm like, just let him talk shit. Like, just let him talk shit. Just whatever.
Let them talk shit.
It literally does not affect you, and if anything, it should motivate the companies. So
they're not paying your bills.
And quite honestly, it just makes both companies better, to be honest with you, because I love this level of competition because it causes everybody to raise the bar. So
it has to be better, or they get left back.
Exactly. So I'm okay with this.
There were some things that were said today that
I think Tony Khan is a little out of pocket for what he said today.
Except Tony Khan.
Granted,
yeah, Tony Khan's cringe.
Cringe.
What was said
today, I think, was misaimed. I think he said that WWE is the Harvey Weinstein of wrestling, but I think I want to say if he had just said Vince McMahon, I would have agreed with him more. Like, but he said that
someone needs to take Tony Khan's phone from him because he says
that in an interview
shit like this constantly.
He did sell
this in an interview.
He did sell.
This was out loud during the NFL draft.
Well, what how's it any different than the shit he says on Twitter? He just says dumb shit random.
Again, though, even if we don't want to believe it, there is no such thing as bad press.
No.
Sure.
He said this on a highly viewed NFL draft day, which, whether or not people think it's smart or not, is still going to be like, what's AEW? I didn't know there was another wrestling company out there for people who might have been.
And if that's the effect he's looking for, great. You know, now you got a whole bunch of viewership wondering what the hell you're talking about. I just think it's really stupid at times.
But at the same time, it's just so dumb because it's dumb because controversy sells.
Yeah,
like it's a stupid aspect of things. Like only the people who are the most controversial are the most successful, and I fucking hate it. But it's because we're out here busting our asses. Just like, god damn it.
The other thing about it I didn't like is that, like, he's like, oh yeah, we're the underdog. They're the big evil juggernaut. Like, bro, you're a Nepo baby too.
So there was a tweet that relates to that. I'm going to sidebar us here for a second. Somebody is like, I understand that their viewership is low, that their house shows aren't, selling enough tickets, but you have to understand how much money $1 billion is. And this man has multiple billions of dollars.
Their family's worth $12 billion right now.
Like,
they can lose money for like 200 fucking years.
You can say that the viewership is down and the house shows are down, but you literally cannot stop a billionaire with a passion project.
You really can't. And like I said, it doesn't matter.
AEW is going to last until Tony wants it to stop.
Like a billionaire losing $35 million is like us losing like what, $10?
Yeah,
something like that.
And the thing is, think about it. Fucking TNA's been going for what, 20 years now, and they had a budget of like almost $1 million at one point. Like you could not kill TNA. You're not going to kill AEW.
TNA has lasted almost like what, triple the amount of time WCW did. TNA has been around since 2002. People have said that someone was going to die like 50 times already.
We are 40 weeks. We are 40 weeks away from AEW outliving Nitro. So
damn, you're right.
That's a calendar that somebody has each week. It's just like
we have 40. Let's go.
It's like we have 40 more episodes until they outlive Monday Night Nitro.
Jesus Christ.
So,
that's actually really funny.
Eric Bischoff's punching the air right now.
Hey, at least he beat WWE for 83 weeks.
You know what? And that's the thing. I don't care how many people are in their stadiums. I don't care how many people watch their shows on Wednesday night. If the wrestling's this fucking good, I'm going to keep watching.
Same here.
I want to be entertained, and by God, they fucking entertained me every pay-per-view. So I will continue to watch this company because fuck yeah, this is rad. Like wrestling, I think we said this, wrestling is at its best when it's just a battle anime. And AEW is a battle anime.
And we'll get to that. And speaking of battle animes, so we'll get to that in a little bit.
We'll get to that too, because I also want to bring up something in relation to that, but we'll get to that too. Yeah, this was a really good women's match. 15 minutes, perfect amount of time. Showcase Thunder Rosa coming back after what, a year away. And instantly throws her
between injuries and like controversies. Yeah, about a year.
Instantly throws her into a new feud. You now get a new element of this story with Tony and Mariah, which is going to be fun. And yeah, fantastic match. Then the match of the fucking year, probably the decade for me, happens. Like, what, we have 6 years left in this decade. I think it's gonna be real hard to top this one. So,
yeah, yeah.
Osprey and didn't Osprey and what's his name happen this decade?
Yes, Osprey and Omega happened like 3 months ago.
Osprey and Omega, no, the other one, Puma.
Ricochet. That was 2017. That was shortly before Ricochet got signed to WWE.
That was before he went to NXT.
And I think that was the match that got him.
I guess not.
I think that was the match that got Ricochet put on the radar for WWE.
Yeah, for sure.
Half-hour long spectacle I think that's the only way I
minutes
can.
and 23 seconds.
I think that's the only way I can describe it. And if you say 35 minutes, the match time from bell to bell is 32 minutes. So a 3-minute intro and then fucking 32 minutes of just wrestling. Just who is. And people are like, there was no story going into this match. There was absolutely a story. It was not a real substance like filled story, but it's two guys claiming they're the best in the fucking world. And by God, they showed it.
Sometimes the story doesn't have to be I punched your mother and now we're fighting. Sometimes the story is just I'm the best in the world. No, I'm the best in the world. Well, let's fight and see who is.
Okay, let me simplify this story for people who don't understand. Okay, you have two world-renowned veterans in Bryan Danielson and Will Ospreay. They've both been around the world. They've both wrestled in multiple companies. We had to decide, everybody's had this debate with these two for years. Who was the best in the world? So you put these two world-renowned, world-beaten veterans, put them in the ring together, and what do you get? You get possibly one of the best wrestling matches of the last 25 years. And I did say yes, the last 25 years, because this is a must-see.
15 years.
Yeah, you get a fucking episode of an anime in the length of time of a wrestling match. Mm-hmm. Like you get a battle episode of an anime's amount of time of a wrestling match, and it never feels like the progression is out of place. Like the escalation of this match is almost like perfect, all things considered. I couldn't write notes for this. I was just fucking hyped for this match. It starts the same way that Danielson Omega started. The bell rings, the crowd fucking goes crazy.
I was writing notes in the beginning of this match, but I just threw my pen down. I was like, this is incredible. It was like, and you talk about progression, like this thing just ramped up at certain points, like every 5 to 7 minutes. It just kept ramping up. And I'm like, shit, man, how much more can these guys do with the time that they have in the ring? And they just keep finding ways to do these things. Okay, especially towards the end of the match, you could have just put anime speed lines on there. It would have been almost like anime.
I didn't allow myself to watch this as like a smart fan. I just enjoyed this as a wrestling fan.
You empty-brained, I'm a wrestling fan. What's this match?
I'm a wrestling fan. Yeah. I'm enjoying a wrestling match. This is how I watched that match, and it was
like part way through the match, I did the same. And I was like, you know what, fuck it.
I was like, all I took notice is that this crowd fucking loves Ospreay. TK has a new ace in this company. He has a new top baby face to go alongside Swerve and everybody else. Like Ospreay is that man in this company.
And I think that's what AEW is missing. They got to build your company around. Okay, there's John Cena, there's Rock, there's Stone Cold. That's Ospreay in spades. Like
they had Omega for a bit, but
Omega's supposed to come back next week too, which is exciting. Yeah. I'm pretty sure he's just going to call out
in a wrestling.
I think he's just going to call out the Bucks and then probably get taken out by Okada. And it's like, okay, cool. Whenever I'm back from recovery, then we'll get the next chapter of Okada Omega.
Yeah, he's not coming back. He's not coming back in a wrestling role at this time. He's
this man's still dealing with
diverticulitis. Is that's
honestly, rough, I'm at the point where it's like if Kenny can't come back like in a full capacity like he used to, as long as he's still on TV in some way, maybe he takes like the commissioner role, or something like that. Like at least he's on TV, I'd be happy. But just his body was so broken down from that year straight of fucking matches that he put on. Just I think the guy needs his rest. He needs to get over this injury, and then he'll come back when he's ready. I think they have enough people to carry this company while he's gone.
Yeah, he hasn't been quite the same since he carried all those titles, man. I mean, I don't understand. Like, he wanted to be the face of AEW, and he wanted to bring the companies, renowned to other companies and around the world. But yeah, it literally broke him down. Yeah. And he hasn't been the same since, so I think he needs to heal for a little bit longer.
You've earned your rest, buddy. Ospreay, Swerve, Kyle O'Reilly, even like these guys can be the baby faces of the company while you're gone.
Yeah, matter of fact, they're the next man up in this, and all of it.
Joe, we'll get to that, but Joe did his job as a transitional champion. It was the right time to put the belt on Swerve when we get to it. I mean, Joe's going to do whatever is best for the company. It feels like he's always been a company guy. It feels like. So they have a lot of trustworthy people in the roster, and it's unfortunate that a lot of it is just the people who keep leaking shit or have been talking about like, you know, wanting to or have been liking like the snide like Twitter posts and stuff like that. Like if those guys want to be gone, let them go. The company can continue without them at this point. Like if Mario doesn't want to be there, just let him go. You have more than enough people. Like but yeah, this
can still build talent too.
This fucking match, dude. It got to we have building, and then we have a stare down. Both of them in the corner. Danielson doing the slow chant for yes. Ospreay taking off the elbow pad for the hidden blade. And that's got a lot of people mad on Twitter. Not because of what they did, but because it's the same spot that Trick Williams and Dragunov did on NXT. And then people pointed out that, oh no, they did this in their last match at Vengeance Day. And I was like, okay, cool.
Who?
I'm like, okay, but cool. Nobody remembered that spot. So it wasn't as memorable as the Danielson Ospreay one. So
I don't really care who does it. It just looks good.
It's a good spot. It's anime as hell.
I don't care who does
it. They executed it perfectly.
Bryanson did it again most recently on NXT, and it turned out it was just as good. So who fucking cares?
And that's what I think. And wrestling is at its best when it's just an anime.
Yeah.
Like no selling, heavy selling, like just this back and forth shit. Like it's so good when it's just not trying to take itself too seriously.
And again, this it further drives the point home. When it's in competition, this is where pro wrestling is at its best. We saw this in the 90s with WWE and WCW. Same applies here today. All of this stuff helps both companies, and I wish people would realize that instead of going to their tribalistic, galaxy brain and trashing everything that happens on both shows all the time.
I'm starting to feel like wrestling fans on the internet don't like wrestling. So.
Nobody hates wrestling more than wrestling fans, Sharky. I mean, shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
I'm with you on that one.
The execution of this was perfect. Bryan Danielson went for the knee. Ospreay hit the hidden blade, picked him up, went for the Tiger Driver. There was an injury scare, which I think admittedly takes away from this match if Danielson's not legitimately injured. I don't think you had to have this finish to make Ospreay kind of look like a sympathetic babyface compared to the rest of the Don Callis family, because he was trying to check on Danielson.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like the ending takes away from the match slightly, but everything up until that point is just so good. So good.
It's a very good match.
Ospreay wins.
A little suspect, but
yeah,
Ospreay
wins. Starts to show a little bit of a babyface side compared to the heel faction that he's in. And I'm pretty sure they're going to separate him from Don Callis, which they should do if they need to. Then we can get like an actual like heel face Ospreay Takeshita down the line, because they had their one-on match where they were teammates, so it's like competitive, and then we can have them just beating the shit out of each other like later down the line. Yeah, this became match of the night, probably match of the decade so far. I can't think of a pay-per-view match in the last 4 years that got me this fucking hyped.
So this definitely match of the year right now. It's my top one.
Yeah,
this gets studied. This gets studied for people who are looking at pure match quality.
Yes, and I think even we here we don't take Meltzer's opinions too highly a lot, but even he said like it doesn't need to be story. The athleticism in this match is what got it is memorable. Like the Oz cutter into the Psycho knee was just, it was smooth. There was like all these counters that were happening too, and then you had like the submission angle from Danielson, high flying angle from Ospreay. Like it's just a mixture of styles that just worked so well together because these two guys are that fucking.
And correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't that their first match together after all this time? That was incredible.
That was their first match ever, I think, against each other. And that just shows, I think Danielson is the GOAT. I think he can work any match against any style.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to give it to Ospreay too. Like he was able to work a match with Danielson's like style also. So yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Pretty good match.
Fucking good.
S-class match.
And then I think like this was the perfect match for like the cooldown. We call it the cooldown match, but the crowd was still fired up as hell going into this tag team title ladder match.
Yep.
I feel like they watched the match and it was like, oh shit, we kind of have to go a little hard to follow up on that. And they did kind of go. They did kind of go hard at times.
They were out there bumping their ass off in this match.
They were.
Cash just throwing his body on the line for this fucking match, and FTR Bald, which is my favorite nickname for Dex.
Yep.
Just getting busted open kind of early in the match too. I don't think these two can ever put on a bad tag team match. These two teams, they're very different in style, but I think they have so much chemistry together.
Yeah,
their styles mesh really well together.
They do.
And I'm saying that as somebody who isn't a big fan of the Bucks. I've never been a really big fan of the Bucks. I think they're quite overrated.
These motherfuckers showed up in a Cybertruck at the start of the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
That's about
perfect heels.
Heel as you can get right there.
That's pretty heelish.
They also could have died. Like, those things are fucking dangerous. This was after the recall. Like, they had that truck
showing up in their drivable air fryer.
My point in saying that is that, like, yeah, I'm not a fan of the Bucks, but like I can appreciate all the body of work that they've had over the period of time. Because, like I said, they mesh really well with FTR.
Yeah.
It was just a really good ladder tag team match.
Yeah, so this is a great just ladder match for the titles. Not a lot to really write home about. You did have some really cool spots. You had Cash doing the moonsault off the ladder that was situated. Then you had him sending himself through a table to take him out of the match. You had the crowd chanting, "Please be careful," at one point during the match.
Because of how much they were bumping in this match.
Yeah. This big thing about this match, though, sets up a story moving into the week, and that is currently continuing as we record this. It's probably going to be continued on to Rampage tonight. Somebody runs into the ring, masked in a Sting mask, pushes the ladder over, and helps the Bucks win the tag match. Security pushes him into a corner, unhoods him, unmasks him. It is Jack Perry. Jack Perry is back.
He's back.
Crowd fucking blew the roof off the place. Like, they cheered. It wasn't a boo. It was a fucking cheer for Jack Perry.
I think it's very interesting how the way Tony Khan phrased it. We were talking earlier about his really cringe remarks.
Mm-hmm.
In that same interview, he mentioned how he sent Jack Perry to New Japan, and he said, "You go over here for a little bit, cool off." And whether or not that's actually what happened is a very interesting way to phrase that.
Yes.
Compared to like, "Hey, you're suspended. Go to Japan."
Yeah.
Which is closer to what actually happened.
I think it's one of those things of a worked shoot kicking in. Yes. I think he was suspended after the CM Punk thing, and realizing, he would have gotten all this heat on TV. It probably would have been unfair to him. I'm going to talk to New Japan. We'll let you go over there. And now they're like, okay, cool. He's getting a good reception in New Japan. Let's set the seeds to bring him back. That's the All-In footage. The Bucks being arrogant little pricks about it. There were seeds planted through the week of even like Matt Jackson saying, "Scapegoat, I love your work," like coming down the ramp during their like match entrance.
Yeah.
So now we have this new elite of Okada, the Bucks, and Jack Perry, which is kind of an interesting team. I kind of dig it.
And Jack Perry fresh with a new gimmick, being the scapegoat now, because if you haven't noticed, his armband on one of his
and this all led. The big thing is this all led into Wednesday, where Jack Perry calls out Tony Khan to talk to him about his suspension. He just wants him to shake his hand and reinstate him. And when he does, he lays out Tony Khan with a great little stomach punch that Tony Khan then sells after he falls to the ground. I'm always going to clown on Tony for not being a professional wrestler, so I get that, his selling can be off at times.
Yeah.
Then the Bucks come out like, "Hey man, what are you doing? What are you doing?" And they, tease the EVP trigger on him. Then they help him to his feet and they hit him with a TK driver. And the episode ends with Tony Khan laid out in the ring. His dad's out there for the first time in this company's lifespan.
That took 5 years.
And then he sold it at the draft with the neck brace, which I'm just like, old wrestling's back. Let's go. It's like dumb blurring the lines is back. I love it. But yeah, so hostile takeover by the Bucks.
One thing I wanted to say about this new Elite is that they still kind of have the same formula that they had for the old Elite. The old Elite being, the Bucks, Kenny, and Hangman.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of have the same formula with the Bucks are still there, but now you have this new pillar in Jack Perry, and then you have this new guy from Japan in Okada.
And that's the thing right now too. Jack Perry is the only pillar still active in the company at this moment.
Yep.
Sammy is still suspended. Darby is injured with his foot. And MJF is...
Who knows where MJF is right now?
MJF is in the wild, but we're 95% sure he's re-signed. He's just letting his body heal from all the shit he's gone through.
Speaking of people who had never taken a break.
Yeah, MJF worked through a lot of injuries. I do feel like he has re-signed already. He was in Boston during big business. So, and they have removed him from their roster page, but we know that they do blur the lines a bit when it comes to stories. So I think MJF is happy where he is right now, and he knows that there's a story to come back to, but he's like, bro, I am broken. Let me sleep.
I'm held together with duct tape and super glue. Please just let me rest.
It's just the fucking SpongeBob guy with like the whole wrapped like body. Yeah. It's like, my bones are made of glass and I have paper skin. Somehow, out of all this shit that has happened, Darby is out with a broken foot after everything he's fucking done in AEW. A broken foot is what finally had him stop.
I'm surprised it did not happen sooner.
I'm
That's all I got to say.
They're just like, bro, I can't let you climb Mount Everest. But yeah, so Young Bucks are back in the tag title champions. Jack Perry's back. He's involved in a, whether or not people want to admit it, a hot angle right now with Tony Khan, and a very publicized angle. I mean, even fucking Pat McAfee kind of gave it, some attention. Mm-hmm. So not sure how that's going to backfire or not. It's interesting. Everybody's talking about it. So I guess it did its job. And then main event. And we're so happy they pulled the fucking trigger finally. Like, they didn't wait. Yeah. They did not wait. And I respect that so much. Swerve gets his own big entrance. Comes out in the Killmonger outfit. He gets the jacket of a deceased Ring of Honor alum.
Jimmy Rave. That was his robe that he got.
Jimmy Rave jacket. Just a hero's fucking entrance. The crowd is so behind Swerve in this. And then you have Joe come out, just no big presentation, just his normal entrance, just him walking to the ring. He knows the ring. He knows his job is to put this man over. That's Joe's job.
It's less. That's just kind of just Joe's MO. It's just always, I'm going to the ring. I'm going to beat up your favorite.
Yeah.
No special nothing.
Okay, 18 minutes. Perfect time for this. I mean, Joe got a lot of offense in. It was Joe controlling most of this match, but it portrayed Swerve as like that resilient babyface, and Joe looked like a resilient monster, taking so many like stomps and all these other attacks from Swerve. It definitely just showed Swerve is, he's tough. He did that battle with Hangman. He did all the shit. Like, Swerve has worked to get here, and he's not going to let this slip away. I'm glad there was no crazy intervention with Hangman. I'm glad that nobody else, got involved. This was a very clean win. He had Joe in the corner for the stomp, had him like pulled up. I don't know what he like said to him, but he like made it clear, hit the stomp on him, got the pin. And 1, 2, 3. Swerve is AEW champion.
Swerve's champ. Yep.
And it had
a really good match.
And had a title eliminator match against Kyle Fletcher on Wednesday, which was a very good match.
Speaking of good matches, Jesus Christ, that match was nutty.
Kyle Fletcher is underrated, and I think he's going to be that like Lee Moriarty role of like, you want your champion to look strong? Let's throw Kyle Fletcher against him.
Mhm.
Like, yeah. I think the work ethic on a lot of these guys, it might not be the grind, but if they have a job to do, they're going to fucking do it. Like, it's just one of those things.
Yeah. Yeah, Joe was very underappreciated for a long time, and I'm finally glad that AEW allowed him, just this little bit of a spot, in being their world champion, at least for about 4 months. He played his role to perfection.
Yeah.
Okay, he was the big bad heel. It was a big bad heel, a monster heel that, Swerve needed to overcome. Okay, he choked Hangman out in kind of hilarious fashion, and the presentation of this whole thing with Joe and Swerve was absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
My hat's off to Joe, man. He built Swerve. He helped build Swerve up.
And the thing was, Joe just wasn't given the title either. Like, he was built into the storyline, a partner of MJF. Then, got the spot against him, all that stuff. Beat MJF. Defended it against Hangman Page and Swerve in a 3-way match. But Hangman is the one that tapped out in that match, not Swerve. And he defended it against Wardlow, which, again, Wardlow's one of those guys I feel like they're too stop-start on at times. I hope this Undisputed Kingdom stuff can get him back on track. 113 days is not a bad title reign.
Good.
Yeah, and I think
pretty damn good. We
were talking about it. I don't think every champion has to have a year-long reign. The more you take off of the less amount. I think there needs to be more big reigns than little reigns, though. Yes,
that's what I will say.
I think
more people need to have year-long reigns than not have year-long reigns.
Yeah, so I don't think it needs to be every fucking champion, though.
You gotta have a good mix of both short reigns and long title runs, because otherwise, you get a champion who's been on too long, and if the crowd just starts to turn on him eventually, and you just gotta figure out a way to keep that going, and it just gets a little hard after a while. So
yes.
Yeah.
So let's look here. I just brought it up. So in terms of reigns, that puts Joe in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, spot number 6 out of a few, but those numbers below him kind of get a little muddied because that's the CM Punk era.
Yeah.
So, yeah, right below him is CM Punk at 87 days. And then you got Moxley as the interim champion for 59. Then you got Punk at 3. So
Punk wrestles, breaks something, comes back, wrestles, breaks something.
So let's put it like this. You have removing Punk from the equation, you have 6 champions in 5 years of AEW?
Yeah.
You have MJF, who is the longest reigning, who also kind of like worked that role really well. Kenny, who was number 3, kind of giving the belt his prestige during his whole like belt collector era. You had Moxley, who was just a trusted hand as the second champion. Even Chris Jericho, who was first, only had it for 180 days. Then, is from Hangman, almost 200, but it's mostly Kenny and MJF who had more than a year. The closest person was Moxley, who was just under a year. So I think these like 115, 140 days might be a good number for more reigns until something big happens.
Max 180, 200 days.
I think a good 4 to 6 month reign is
Joe had
fine.
a 4-month reign. I'm happy with that. It put a new babyface champion over a very popular wrestler on their roster. Sure. Like, I think people aren't mad that Joe's reign was cut short by Swerve, especially considering the rocket rise that Swerve has had since last year. And I think somebody pointed it on Twitter. Never once complained. Never once tweeted out shit about the company. Never talked about going back. He actually like fucking hung up, I think, on Triple H and told them that they contacted him. So Swerve just went to work, did his job, didn't complain about taking pins. World champion. got over with the fans regardless.
And most importantly, Swerve bet on himself because he knew he would be in this spot one day. So
that was another argument I saw, and the response fucking made me lose my mind. It was like, oh man, an NXT mid-carder is the world champion of AEW. That should tell you all you need about the company. Isn't your guys world champion in AEW mid-carder? Like,
yeah,
just like Cody Rhodes.
I say it. It's different when I say it.
Yeah, it's like Cody Rhodes was a fucking mid-carder in the own company he started.
He only won the TNT title. Well, I mean, shit.
Dude, if you,
grip, y'all.
I'm just like, guys, it's so ridiculous because he started the company and he couldn't even be more than a mid-carder. Like, just so it's so funny.
I will caveat that with that was a choice. That was a conscious choice Cody Rhodes made.
Yeah,
to not go past the mid card.
Yeah, but he still tried to have like his own universe in AEW. All things considered,
the Nightmare Factory and all of that.
He had like the Codyverse built into the AEW universe.
Yep.
But yeah, no, Swerve bet on himself, and like I said, he did not complain. He took pins when he needed to, and he just got over with the fans. Simple as that.
Get over organically with the fans.
He did the work, and he got rewarded.
It's that thing of like, if you just do the work, they can't tell you nothing. Yeah. They can't tell you you're doing bad if you.
Yeah, they can't take it
demonstrably not doing bad.
It's Cody's motto, from undesirable to undeniable. Like Swerve's popularity could no longer be ignored. It was time to put the belt on him.
Yes.
And I mean, you have that visual from last year of him hanging Hangman with the chain. Like, this is a guy who can fight. Like,
yeah.
And
I'm excited to see what the future holds for Swerve.
And again, Swerve is one of those guys, 5 or 6 months, I'd be happy with that title reign. Like if it comes down to, Wembley, him versus Ospreay or something like that, more than happy with the belt going to Ospreay. Like Swerve,
if they go in that direction, that's gonna be a bang of a match. It's going to.
I don't think I think if you have a meaningful reign, it's fine.
Just get through February. Just get through February.
Yeah, just have a meaningful reign. Have just meaningful feuds that don't turn people off to your title reign. Mm-hmm. Just tell a good story throughout. Like if this Swerve title reign brings back Hangman, that's a story. That's a fire of a feud waiting to happen.
I would enjoy Hangman.
Just more unhinged Hangman. Yeah, just a more unhinged Hangman. It's like that should be my belt. Like as a former champion coming to try to take it back from the guy who broke into his house and got cheered by the fans. I want to see crazy unhinged heel Hangman. Like it's just one of those it's just one of those comic book feuds, like the villain's back, kind of thing.
We got a small glimpse of that too. I think Hangman would play that he would play that role perfectly. Like we already saw small glimpses of it, and it's like, damn, he's a little psychotic. So yeah, I think it could work.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see where it goes. I hope they treat him with respect. I hope the title reign is treated with respect. And aside from that, what a great fucking pay-per-view.
It was a super good pay-per-view.
Very solid pay-per-view.
I want to bring to attention the thing I posted in the group chat, fellas. Now that we're done talking about the pay-per-view, it was a really good pay-per-view.
Let me bring it up. I'm starting to feel like I need one more computer screen.
Nick Khan filed to sell what appears to be all of his holdings of his shares of TKO Group Holdings.
What?
Oh, you know what? I think it's funny. Somebody pointed out something that these firings that happened seem to not have come from WWE, but TKO. Cameron Grimes being released, like everybody being released, that is TKO making cuts. And I think Nick Khan's like, well, I'm either going to be revealed in this Vince McMahon lawsuit, or somebody above me who is guaranteeing my job is about to be kicked out from this Vince McMahon lawsuit. So I'm getting the hell out of here.
Jack Tostito, cuz I'm out.
It's that gif of that kid going like this, just disappearing.
But you know what? It's really crazy as hell when you think about it. That WWE has just garnered this shift of, from being where it was in the McMahon era into the TKO era, and they've been more successful. Yet all this shit just keeps happening with this company. I just find it really curious. That's all.
it's the whole TKO thing. I think is adding a whole new dynamic to this, and I think a lot of shit's either about to be revealed, or a lot of people are starting to feel very insecure about their job positions. So if I'm going to be fired, oh man, I'll just take all the money you guys have fucking given me. Here's my shares. Get me the fuck out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's fantastic. Again, it's a fantastic time for wrestling. You have a very successful WWE still being successful, and even now they might be in talks to get WrestleMania in London based on Twitter actions. You have AEW who's starting to go back to old school and blur that line between the TV and the real world, where Tony Khan's now selling a neck injury and publicizing his company on an NFL draft. You have TNA.
Millions of people.
Oh, did you guys, just side before we finish up for the night, did you guys see the numbers for the TNA buy? After Scott D'Amore left. So I think the last one run by Scott was like, what, 220,000?
Yeah.
500.
It was like an 89% drop.
500 TV buys for the pay-per-view that just happened last weekend.
Wow.
Oh.
I think they're looking at it and be like, fuck, we need Scott back. Like, I mean, while Scott's like knocking on AEW's door, they're knocking on WWE's door. It's like, are any of you guys hiring?
Any wrestling company that hires Scott D'Amore will have an invaluable asset. Okay? I don't think TNA realized what they had in Scott D'Amore.
They obviously didn't.
They did not. And now they're starting to figure out the repercussions of not having Scott D'Amore around. 500
TV buys. Granted, that's TV.
buys.
That's TV. That's not YouTube. That's not any other service that they have, but that is TV. And that is the 89% roughly drop from the last one. And I'm like, you know, unfortunately, I would say dead company, but I don't think you can kill TNA no matter how hard you fucking try. I think for some reason, they're just like a cockroach at this point. They're just going to keep going. Like,
yeah.
I think TNA is like, hey, we're here. We're content being number 3. Whatever.
We're here. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, everybody's like dead company, and TNA is like, oh, they're not talking about us. Like, yeah, but yeah. Again, we always say
it's gonna be. I think they're gonna be the. I think they're gonna be the next like WWE invasion angle at some point.
Oh yeah, what TKO is like. Hey, we can buy this other company, right?
Just
damn it, we're late. We won't get PCO versus Undertaker.
Nope, not anymore.
Well, the thing is, if they do buy it, they could just rehire Scott D'Amore.
Yeah. Wait a minute, hold on a second. Maybe I'm misremembering this, but wouldn't Jumpy defeat PCO back in the day?
Yes, he was part of Law Resistance.
They had a match back in the 90s.
Yeah, he definitely did. He definitely did wrestle the Undertaker, but it's so weird how he went from being like the evil Frenchman to I'm gonna just be Frankenstein's monster.
Like, for real. It's just fucking crazy. Pro wrestling in circles is wild.
I love pro wrestling.
I love it.
But yeah, we say it every time. Pro wrestling right now is fucking peak again.
It's great.
No matter what company you watch, you're going to find something you like. If you hate one company because it's a company, shut the fuck up.
They're not paying your bills.
They're not paying your bills. Twitter might be because you're paying for blue, but then again, that's just like public humiliation fetish.
The whole other problem you're having right there.
Yeah,
just enjoy the ride that pro wrestling is taking you on right now.
The thing is, I want people to understand this. If AEW dies, and you're saying you have people in there that would be better off in WWE or going back to New Japan, when they go back to WWE or WWE hires a bunch of the roster, where do they fit? They're not going to be just thrown into any of your fantasy title pictures. Like, WWE isn't going to present them well. It's a double-edged fucking sword. Just let them wrestle. Because again, it's paying their bills.
And I don't want to hear any one of y'all talk about you want another pro wrestling company if that happens.
So the thing is, if you let this company die, you are going to miss what you have right now. Mm-hmm. Because we're going to go back.
You weren't alive during the Attitude Era. You don't know how bad it was after. You don't know how bad it was before.
From Ruthless Aggression, PG era. If you watch that, you know how bad that shit was.
2008 WWE should be enough to tell you how bad that is.
Yes. So enjoy every company. You don't have to like the owners, but just enjoy the wrestling. You're watching wrestling for the wrestling, not for the owners.
Yeah.
It's not a hard fucking concept. And if you are being paid by them, then congrats, I guess. But we're just a podcast of three guys talking about wrestling. Like, we're not getting paid. We can talk our shit. Tony Khan is being cringe, but also
Tony Khan's being cringe. He's a fucking billionaire.
He's a billionaire, and he has a passion project. You can keep typing it on Twitter. AEW is not going to die until they want it to die, and he wants to stop running it. Like, this company's going to stick around, get used to it, and you wouldn't see a lot of these younger guys if it wasn't for AEW.
Yes.
You know, you wouldn't be able to say Hook would be better off in WWE if he didn't show up on AEW. Like, they're showcasing people that could grow to go to your company to be the people that you want to see, but just enjoy them now, you know? Because if anything in wrestling has shown us, you know, we could lose people at any point. We lost Bray Wyatt. We lost Jay Briscoe. Like, who knows? A lot of your favorites could just be gone. Just enjoy wrestling right now.
Enjoy the wrestlers while they're here right now, too. Give them their flowers.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I just, the one thing before we fucking end this episode, it's already going on an hour and a half.
Yep.
The people who say, I love Dean Ambrose, but hate Jon Moxley, just delete your Twitter account. Just please get off the fucking internet. It makes no fucking sense to me. Like,
wait, the people
timeline of Jon Moxley as a wrestler. Like, this whole thing right here, there's this little bit where he's Dean Ambrose.
Yes. And the thing is, everything before that, he's Dean Ambrose cranked up. Jon Moxley is actually his, like, cooled down version of himself.
Yes.
But it's the thing, it's like, I love Dean Ambrose, I hate Jon Moxley, and I'm like, you know how fucking stupid you sound. If it's just, it's so dumb. Like, it's the same fucking guy. Like, and it's just so tiring at times. Oh well, it's Rampage tonight. We're going to see Chuck Taylor and Trent beat each other up in a parking lot. I'm wondering if Sue's going to, you know, smack her son or something. Be real fun to watch. Yeah. So, what is our next pay-per-view, guys? I think it's Double or Nothing, right?
I have no idea.
I think it's Backlash and then Double or Nothing.
Backlash is next Saturday, isn't it? I think it is. Yeah.
I think so.
I think it's next Saturday, but that's also in France, so I don't think I'm gonna be watching that one. That one takes place at a different time.
Yeah, it's probably gonna take place early in the afternoon.
I don't want to hear it.
What's up?
Oh yeah, I woke up at 5 a.m. for that.
You watch the Australian one. I don't want to hear it.
Oh man, yeah, I can't. But yeah, it is next Saturday, 12:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah,
I'll watch it during my lunch break. It's fine.
I mean, I might be back. I might be back from therapy by then, so I might watch it.
I'll definitely be home for that.
So, looking at stuff, yeah, it's Backlash, and then I believe it is Double or Nothing the week after. The 26th, so it's like 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks.
2 weeks time.
2 weeks after.
Okay.
So,
that's
yes,
more manageable.
Yeah, so we have Backlash, and then Double or Nothing, and then after Backlash, we are looking at Clash at the Castle if we want to cover that one, because by self-respect, we do not cover the Saudi Arabia ones.
Not in a million years.
Not in a million years.
I think that's the King of the Ring, and I'm like, no. Yeah. I think.
Granted, I think Gunther's going to win it. He's on a warpath right now. So
yeah,
if I had to take a guess, Gunther wins King of the Ring. It seems like the most logical fucking conclusion, unless he goes up against Dragunov in that tournament, and then it's anybody's game.
Like, yeah.
Oh yeah.
But also, congrats to Trick Williams for winning the NXT title. Majority of champions right now in the major promotions are African American. It is great to see in the year of our Lord. Also, stop with the Cody is black jokes, please. It's kind of annoying.
It's cringy now. Please.
It's very cringy. Cody Rhodes looks like the whitest fucking dude I've ever seen in my life. So
he is Cuban.
He is Cuban. Which is weird. That was a weird thing that I found out. I did not know that. But yeah, Trick Williams, Swerve Strickland, Athena. You know, it's fantastic.
Yes.
Fantastic time in wrestling right now.
Good time to
All
be a
super
wrestling fan.
talented.
Yeah. I mean, you love to see it. You love to see, just hard workers get rewarded. Trick coming out of the Carmelo feud, Trick earned his spot. I don't care what the fuck Meltzer says. He might not have the best in-ring work, but yeah, he has charisma. He has a crowd following. Trick's
even true. That's not even true though, is the thing.
Yeah. I will say I don't think Trick is a ring general, but he can work in the ring.
The he's a solid worker. I mean, Meltzer. I don't even take what Meltzer says anymore with even a grain of salt.
I think,
it's ridiculous.
So, congrats. I love seeing diverse champions. At least nobody's gonna be squashed by Brock, like Kofi was. Also, your tribalism can also fucking die because Kofi congratulated Swerve. Wrestlers and companies are friends with each other. The only people that hate other companies are you. Like, wrestlers are friends with each other.
Here. It's getting heated.
We say this every time.
Still the problem.
We say this every time, and it just doesn't seem like it changes. And it's just like, God damn it! I just hate the internet sometimes.
We gotta get Sharky out of here. He's getting heated.
I'm getting mad. I'm so mad. I'm fucking molding.
All right, guys. That'll do it from here.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next week. No, not next week. The week after next for Backlash. Then a few weeks after that for Double or Nothing. Those will be our next 2 big episodes. And yeah, we will catch you guys later. As always, description, if you're watching the YouTube video, you'll find all of our links. If you're listening to this on Spotify or any other audio source, find the YouTube channel. We do have a video version of this podcast. And yeah, we will catch you guys later. Thank you too for joining me tonight. Always a pleasure.
Always.
And also, if you guys leave comments or anything, would you like to see maybe live versions of this podcast on like a live stream or something? Just let us know if you guys want to see like some occasional live stuff for like special events. Cool. But
I'd be okay with I'd be in for reacting to stuff as it happens.
Yeah, we can't stream the actual pay-per-view, but like you could watch it along with us.
Yeah,
like just see our reactions in real time.
It's an NPC stream.
Yeah. All right, so we'll catch you all later. You all have a great weekend, and see you all in the next episode. Take care, everybody.
Later.
Bye, everybody.